Hello and welcome to an Irish woodworker's diary. I'm Gaynor. Now this is a series where you get to see general woodworking, roofing, bit of renovation, and then we fall back on the workshop and we can do pieces like this. So obviously this video is about the hallway bench. This was built for a very good friend of mine and it's heading down to Kerry very shortly. 2 inches of solid oak. I made the base out of poplar and I just painted it this deep green to contrast with the oak top, and I used Danish oil on the top. Now I gave Danish oil 3 coats because I'm only looking for a lustre. I'm not looking for a high gloss finish. This is to be a very usable piece. So when I got to making this particular bench here, I bought 1 plank of oak and I had enough left over to make a second bench. So I'm going to improve on the bench. This is specifically what Maria asked for. So this is what I made. Now the next bench, what we're going to do is we're going to put a slight curve in the front and we'll put a slight curve in the bottom and top rail, and the legs will also follow the same curve. It's only small, you know, maybe back 10 mil max of a curve, just to give it, to lighten it up I suppose. So without further ado, let's get on and make the hallway bench. Guys, I'm very happy with the proportions of this, so we're going to keep it the same. So I made the legs 420 millimeters, okay, and I also made this out of 50 mil square stock. But on the next bench, what I'm going to do is I will use the 50 mil square stock, but I'll make the section of leg that we see 65 millimeters. And the reason I made it 65 millimeters is this curve we're going to give here, I want to give the same curve on the leg, to kind of add a little something to it, okay? So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get on and cut the legs 420 millimeters by 65 millimeters. And the overall length of the bench from leg to leg, 900 millimeters. So I'm going to keep the same. So we're going to be 420 high and we're going to be 900 millimeters in length, and the width of the bench from leg to leg is 325 millimeters. So guys, the first job in hand is to take the stock. The stock has been pre-planed and it's red deal. It is exactly 48 millimeters thick. Perfect. So what I'm going to do with these is, this top one is the legs, so I'll be cutting this in half. But before I cut it in half, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip it 70 millimeters, okay? And I'll get 3 pieces out of that. Most importantly, the third piece will be for the rail, because this is for the rails. So I want to keep the rails 70 millimeters as well, okay? So I'll only get 3 cuts out of one, but if I cut the leg section first, I'll get 1 continuous long one and then I can split the others in half, okay? So that's what we're going to do. So before you start any job, get your timber together and work out what your best cuts are. That's the way I find it best, okay? Let's get on with that. So now guys, I have all the parts ready here in front of me. I cut them on the chains there. So I have our rails to go between our legs, and I have 2 rails which are 50 millimeters thick. Now we only want the rails to be, you know, 18 millimeters thick max. But in order to do that, what we have to do is we will have to cut the curved section out of this 50mm stock, and then from that we'll measure the 18mm or 20mm, whatever it is, call it 20mm. We'll cut it on the bandsaw and then we'll spoke shave it down the rest of the way back to its 18mm. Now I don't have any fancy machines to, like a spindle mold or big rounders, so it'll be done on a bandsaw and it'll be done with a spoke shave, okay? So I think our next job now is to take a measurement from the bench there and transfer it onto the leg section. So guys, what I've done is I've organised the legs, right? I cut them the right length, okay? And I put them down on the bench. They're all 100%. But we need to identify what way these legs are going to go. So what you do is, right, is you'll put like a little triangle, okay? Like so. And what I like to do is I like to put A, put an arrow down there, put B, C, and D. What that's going to do is every time we go to reference this or we go to do the mark for our mortise and tenon, see that line there, and that line there represents our mortise, our mortise. Okay, this line here and this line here represents our mortise, and so forth, so forth. And therefore we're able to identify that, see that line there? We need one mortise there and we need one mortise here. That's what that identifies, okay? It's a great way of keeping on top of. Okay guys, what I've done is I've taken the rail here, okay? This is the rail. And I've come down here and I've marked the full width of the rail there, right? Okay. And for the haunch shoulder, we'll just use the thickness of itself. Mark that there. And from the length of the rail, we'll come back up 6mm, right? So we're now able to mark out our mortises. So I'm just going to run the complete line there. Okay. I'm happy with that. And we can run this complete line here. And then down this end here, we're going to come up 65mm, the thickness of the rail, okay? And what I done was, I had set it out on this, here, I've come back in 12mm there and 12mm here. And it works out at around a 42mm mortise, and we have the same 42mm there. So what we're going to do is we plant that on our 65mm point there, and we pick up them 2 points there. That's them there. So we now know that this is our mortise here. So this is it. These points here represent our mortises. And our next thing then is to take up the leg here and we transfer them lines down to the other side here, like so. So what we're able to do now is we're able to take, that's our mortise there, right, and that's our mortise here, okay? So guys, regarding the mortises, just to show you my identification marks, right, this is where you draw your triangle when you have your 4 pieces of timber together. And what that triangle does is, this side here represents this mortise, and this side of the triangle represents that mortise. So that when you're looking at the leg, this is the side mortise and this is the long rail, and that's the side rail. And again, I put 65 millimeters to this line here. I come over the 6 millimeters because that's the little shoulder, shall we call it. And then I've got 42 millimeters for mortise, okay? And on the top, we've done the same. We've come the thickness of the stock, which is 18 millimeters. We've come 42 millimeters, and what's left then will be for a shoulder, another 6 mil. Okay guys, I just want to give us a quick look at what we're trying to do here, okay? And if you look at this side here, you can see the gentle curve that I'm going to put on the leg with the pencil line. And that gentle curve matches that gentle curve there. Okay guys, I wanted to stop and take a look at what we're doing now. So you can see that we have the legs together, the two end legs together, and we have this centre rail in. The reason I wanted to stop is to show you this centre section and how we're going to go about making it up. So let's take a look at how we achieve this bend. Okay guys, so we're going to try and get this particular curve. So what I done was, the first thing I done was I measured from shoulder to shoulder. That's the first thing. So with your square and a nice sharp pencil, you will find your shoulders there and there. I've done that. The next thing is a nice flexy piece of timber, or MDF. I have a bit of 12 mil. And I came back 12 millimeters to this point and 12 millimeters to this point. Also, I kept this 25 millimeters, so I measured, well, it's about 22 and it's finished. But I measured 25 and I marked that there, from the back to here. And then I find the centre. Now once I've done all that, I then get a couple of pins and I'll nail the first pin there. The second pin will go there. And the third pin will go over here. Then I get my whiskey bit of timber, I'll put it on that side of that pin, that side of that pin, and the MDF will find its own curve. The next thing we do is we will curve that off to that point there. We curve that off to that point there. And that is how we get that gentle curve. Okay? Now, just to show you that it does work, right? Or at least I hope it does, because you get the pins. And let's sit this one on that one there. And with your Adam and David, it follows the line absolutely perfect. So that's how we go about getting the curve. Now, we could go ahead and we could mark the back of this, but we're not going to worry about the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it 25mm and we'll plane it down, spoke shave it down to get the right curve. So that's how we start getting the curve. While I have this all marked out now, I'm just going to cut the shoulders. And again guys, when it comes to shaving these, we can use a block plane because it's on a bit of a straight, it only curves when it gets in there. So a block plane will be in hand. Now again guys, I've been using the block plane here and it really does work very well. It's going to come to a point where we have to use the spoke shave that I was telling you about. And look at that. That's an absolute joy to use. An absolute joy. Can't believe how good that is. Oh my God. Hi guys, I just want to show you the importance of using a really sharp hand plane. And this is the number 5. It's a Stanley and I have it since 1986 and I've tuned it up and let's give it a spin. Now, that's the importance of a really sharp hand plane. And if we look at the shaving, we will get one continuous shaving. Really, and when you have a plane tune as good as that, you will always get a square to a 90 degree to this side here. And the other thing you're looking for is a polished edge. There'll be zero sandpaper on that now. That's it. So I just wanted to show you that while I was doing a little bit of hand planing, just to show you the importance of having a really well-tuned hand plane. Okay guys, this is the leg, and as you can see we have a slight curve on the leg, okay? Okay guys, here's a pair of legs done, right? It's important to work in pairs, okay? And it's equally important to check that they are square. And you know, I think already it's looking pretty sweet. So I have one pair done. I'm going to carry on and get the other pair done, and we'll put it together and we'll show you what the next stage is.